I am going to whip out a third one really quick. So I'm trying to get caught up from when I wasn't feeling well those couple of days. So I'm getting a little punchy and goofy, so bear with me. So, as always, we're starting with infantry chief gear. And we can see that it is red 2 stars and red 2 stars. And then his infantry his marksman staff is red and his ring is red. But then we look at his lancer gear, and his lancer gear is just gold. No stars, just gold. It is substantially far behind his infantry and marksmen. And I know y'all probably are all thinking in your head, because I say this every single time, Lancers are critical to a good defense. Most people use a formation of 60-40 or some variation thereof of infantry to lancers. And so by having his lancers so far behind his infantry and marksmen, he's probably strong on attack and weak on defense. And so what this would look like is if he is playing with somebody who's a comparable power to him, right? Somebody who's right around that 347 mark. Odds are that if he wins on attack, he loses on defense. Now, obviously, if he played somebody of my power, I'm like 520 something right now. If he played me, he would lose on attack and defense probably. But if he's playing somebody who's a comparable power to him, he will win on attack and then lose when they attack him, and he uses a 60-40 defense because his lancers suck. They're not doing their job. And so I think he needs to not touch his infantry or marksman gear. He needs to upgrade that lancer gear. And I want to show y'all what this looks like. Nope, boo. Okay.
Here without a trace.
So his chief gear is here and here for infantry and marksmen, right? So he's pretty high up here. Now, let's see where his lancer gear is. Here. So right now, his lancer gear is only giving him a 56% lancer attack and defense boost. And that's nothing, right? So what he needs to do is he needs to raise it to at least here so that it gives 85%. So his marksman is 89, and once you hit legendary, you start getting the deployment capacity boost also, right? So his marksmen are at 89, but his lancers are so far back there that he needs to raise them at least to T2 gold before he touches his other gear at all, in my opinion, right? Like, and some people don't prioritize lancers, but again, that's going to weaken you on defense. And then if we look at charms, we have 6s over there, and over here we have 6s. For infantry, we have 6s and we have 7s. 6, 7. And then again, this is no surprise. to any of us, he has been neglecting his charms for his Lancers as well. Those are very low. I think those are 3. So for here, what I think he should do is I think he needs to go in and only focus on his Lancers, Chief Gear, and Charms until his Chief Gear is T2 3 stars. And his Charms are at least a 5. I might prefer a 6. I would do a 5 now since his marksmen are only a 6. So I would do a 5. I would get these up to at least a 5 and a Chief Gear T2 3 stars before I touched anything else. Then I would equalize the infantry and have them be 7s all the way across. And then I would bring the marksman gear up to 8. And then once you have Lancers at 5 or 6, infantry at 7, and marksmen at 8, then I would move forward with upgrading them evenly, the charms evenly, marksman, infantry, lancer. So when the marksmen move to 9, the infantry moves to 8, and the lancers move to 6 or 7, depending on, I don't know how many resources he has, so that might take him a minute. And then I think that will make him a better all-around player. So it's great to be really strong on the attack, but if you lead a rally and you take a building, then you need to be able to hold it. Unless your alliance has somebody who is a defensive specialist and they focus on things that will help with defense. But that is not normal, right? There's not normal somebody out here who's prioritizing Lancer stats over marksmen so that they can hold a turret. That's just not, that's if they've done that, it's probably because they didn't know what they were doing and they didn't understand the role that the marksmen play in other things. Because very few people just want to sit in a turret all day long. But sometimes you have to, right? Sometimes you have to sit in the castle. Sometimes you have to sit in a turret. Sometimes you have to sit in the foundry or prototype site 2. And in order to do that and to hold those, you need to have a strong defense. So I think he would have more success if he increases his Lancer gear. So that's my opinion. And this will be the last one I do today. I do have several people in the queue still. I mentioned in another video that I have started a Patreon if you want to support. I'm not going to charge people for this content. Maybe I should. I'm going to continue to do it for free though. But if you want to support me and you value what I'm doing, I can't get paid by TikTok until I get more followers. And it's difficult for me to go live because of my chronic illness. So committing to go live is difficult for me. But if you like what I'm doing, I do have a Patreon. The information is in my bio. So no obligation, though. I will do this anyway. I hope you're having a good day.